Tonight, raging rains and rising waters trigger a local state of emergency in BC's Fraser Valley. The evacuation orders and cross-border threat Canada is keeping a close watch on.
We really get anxious, nervous when we start to see the water levels rise.
And the American reinforcements being deployed. Also, the financial storm drowning Canadians.
The kids are getting older too, so they want more expensive things.
The new family dynamic parents are banking on, and the forecast on future interest rate decisions. And a promising path for struggling new moms.
The dread I would feel like when I woke up to a baby crying, I didn't feel that dread anymore.
The postpartum pill that could potentially bring light to the darkest days after childbirth.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news. Torrential rains in BC's Fraser Valley have triggered a local state of emergency tonight, with all eyes this hour on the Nooksack River in Washington state, which officials expect will overflow imminently, sending water rushing across the border. An atmospheric river has been pummeling the south coast, transforming roads into rising waterways and threatening the livelihoods of farmers who are anxiously watching their fields get drenched. Here's a live look at the weather map showing a system that's parked with more rain on the way.
What this means is that we are in a very dynamic situation, and people and communities must prepare for potential flooding, particularly in low-lying areas.
In Washington state, millions are under a flood alert, and the National Guard has been activated. CTV's Michelle Bernoro starts us off tonight on this side of the border near Abbotsford, BC.
There are swollen creeks and flooded roadways. There are roads shut down altogether.
We've created essentially a storm highway where all these Pacific weather systems are able to just pretty much direct themselves all the way to our region.
Out on Sumas Prairie, fields are underwater.
Anxious, nervous when we start to see the water levels rise. It's definitely concerning.
And tensions are high.
I may have to evacuate those heifers. I have a contingency plan in place for that.
There is worry the Nooksack River in Washington state could spill its banks and cause flooding here like it did in 2021.
It's triggering, I'll admit that. Yeah, it brings back a lot of memories.
The River Forecast Center says while they are expecting water levels below the catastrophic 2021 flood, similar levels of water are possible if rainfall amounts go at the higher end, particularly in the Mount Baker area, which feeds the Nooksack.
The weather models are kind of showing quite a large range from more like 150 180 millimeters of rain, but even in some of the models, like the Canadian model has upwards of 400 millimeters in it. I think that's an outside scenario, but that's what's also causing us alarm.
Meanwhile, anxious farmers say not enough has been done to protect them from flooding.
There have been no improvements that would prevent a flood from 2021 for the West Sumas Prairie. Absolutely nothing.
We need pumps put on the Sumas River. That'll help protect the West Abbotsford side of things and get the water away from there.
You can see what the flooding has already done to this park in behind us. The people in Abbotsford anxious tonight, and for good reason. Omar?
All right, Michelle, thank you. The devastation from that deluge is another stressor on top of the financial anxieties many Canadians are feeling this time of year. CTV's Andrew Johnson on what families are planning on spending on gifts and who they're turning to help pay for them.
On a gray and wet day in Vancouver, holiday shoppers are battling the weather and what's happening to their wallets.
Because everything is expensive now, and I just work part-time.
How's your budget looking? Threadbare?
They're not alone. Among the hundreds of Canadian parents recently surveyed by Interact, 2/3 say rising costs are making it harder to manage holiday spending. And more than half are worried about overspending.
You're going to stick to the budget.
I'm sticking to the budget.
As for that holiday budget, close to half of parents surveyed say they plan to spend less than $500 on gifts. A quarter are budgeting $500 to $1,000, and nearly 3 in 10 plan to spend $1,000 or more.
What kinds of gifts are you getting your 33-year-old?
Perhaps he's going to watch this then.
That's right.
I'd rather not say.
Some parents are calling in reinforcements. More than 1 in 5 are relying on grandparents for holiday help. A third say the grandparents are spending more than they are.
We are very fortunate. We have a lot of grandparent help. My son wants a trip, so my grandparents are contributing to money towards the trip.
In this time of tight budgets and packed schedules, one shopper offers some sage seasonal advice.
Learn to relax. There's a little bit of joy in being able to give yourself space to breathe.
But Christmas white knuckling can continue well past the 25th. Almost 2 in 5 parents admit digging themselves a financial hole every holiday season, with close to half saying it usually takes them until spring to recover. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Holiday spending isn't the only concern. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver on what other financial worries Canadians are talking about in these final weeks of 2025.
The malls may be busy, but this year many Canadians are focused less on presents and more on presents.
Me and all my friends make gifts for each other, and I feel like that makes it so much more lasting, and it's not like a cost worry thing in the holidays.
This holiday season, economic anxiety is high. According to a new Nanos report, 42% of people rank grocery prices as their top financial concern. 17% say their biggest concern is personal debt. 16% housing costs, 8% job security, and just 8% say they have no financial concerns.
It doesn't matter how you cut it. The fact of the matter is 9 out of every 10 Canadians are feeling the economic squeeze in terms of the rising cost of housing, the rising cost of groceries, worried about personal debt, or even just worried about job security.
The financial stress being tied to uncertainty around tariffs and the high cost of living.
Recently, I've been trying not to go to the grocery store as much, but every time I go, I'll only buy the essentials, maybe 10 items, and I end up spending $100. It's insane.
And for those wishing for prices to come down, the Bank of Canada says that would actually be bad news.
If we were to try to push the whole price level down, that would cause a severe recession in Canada. Nobody wants that.
So what can Canadians do to help their financial future? Experts say try tracking where money is coming in and going out.
When you do this, you kind of figure out what you're really spending money on and what's important. And again, a lot of people, this is challenging. This is the whole budgeting, which if behind every good financial plan, there's a solid budget.
While the Bank of Canada expects inflation to hover around 2% next year, many experts believe that food prices will increase, Omar, between 4 and 6%.
All right, Annie, thank you. And the governor of the central bank acknowledged today that while many Canadians are feeling squeezed, the economy overall is resilient, which is why it decided to keep its key interest rate at 2.25%. Joining me now is CTV's chief financial correspondent, Amanda Lang. So, Amanda, what does this mean for mortgages?
Omar, anyone hoping for a change that would then affect their mortgage or their lending was disappointed today, but most people didn't expect that. We knew that the bank was likely to hold steady, and that's because it likes where it's sitting. Inflation seems to be under control. The economic data has actually been better than many people expected. We've seen signs of resiliency in our economy. The recent growth data was pretty strong. Job creation has been there. And then we got that revision for the past few years to Canadian growth and productivity that says we're actually doing better than we thought in the past. All of that says the bank is probably on hold for a while, and they're really telegraphing that. And economists say the next move, which is likely upward, is probably the end of next year, maybe even to 2027. So the only caveat on all of this is the trade war. What happens with the renegotiations of our trade deal? And the bank says, of course, it's waiting, it's watching, and that could be the wild card. That means it's staying a little bit non-committal, and in some ways it means we all have to be a little bit alive to the possibility of a change in all of this. Omar?
Still lots of uncertainty. All right, Amanda, thank you for this. In the U.S., meanwhile, the Federal Reserve cut its key interest rate today. The 0.25% reduction brings the rate down to a range of between 3.5 to 3.75%, the lowest in 3 years. Well, tariffs and trade played into that decision, and today, a day after Canada's top diplomat in Washington announced her departure, we heard from America's top trade negotiator who hinted at splintering the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade pact. Here's CTV's Michael Couture.
We're all in her debt, and I just want to thank her again for her contribution.
High praise from the Prime Minister as Kirsten Hillman announced she will be stepping down as ambassador in D.C.
It's time, I think, for me to start a new chapter.
She leaves as talks around sectoral tariffs like steel and aluminum remain stalled. Today, the U.S. Trade Representative suggested the trilateral trade agreement, CUSMA, may not be the way forward.
Our economic relationship with Canada is very, very different than our economic relationship with Mexico. My sense going forward is we're already talking to them separately.
Sure.
I have not had a meeting this year where I sat with Canada and Mexico in a room and we sat together and talked about USMCA.
I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing. I think CUSMA is a better thing.
Arlene Dickinson is part of the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations. She says industry is anxious for the trade war to end. While praising Hillman's work, she believes the next ambassador needs that similar strength.
You need somebody who has the ability to get into a heated discussion into a room and bring the temperature down, but also, get our point across.
Are you considering Mark Wiseman as a replacement?
Sources tell CTV News Mark Wiseman will likely be named the next Canadian ambassador to the U.S. He's held a number of senior roles at asset management firms and was the chair of the Century Initiative,
whose stated mission is to triple the population of Canada to 100 million people, a policy that is designed to profit multinational corporations by driving wages down and housing costs up.
The policy that the member across refers to has never been and will never be the policy of the Government of Canada.
With Hillman's departure set for the new year, the Prime Minister says her successor will be named in the coming weeks. Omar.
Mike, thank you. New video shows the U.S. operation that seized an oil tanker near Venezuela today. The video posted by Attorney General Pam Bondi shows people rappelling out of helicopters and taking control of the ship while heavily armed. She says the tanker was under sanctions for allegedly being part of an illicit oil shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations.
As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually.
Venezuela has denounced the operation, calling it blatant theft and an act of international piracy.
Well, I have chops, I swear.
And dashcam footage captured a small plane crash landing onto a car on a Florida freeway. The aircraft then hits the median. Amazingly, the driver of the car, a 57-year-old woman, only suffered minor injuries, and the pilot and passenger were not injured. In Australia, a groundbreaking social media ban for children under 16 is now in effect, leaving Canadians wondering if this country could be next. Here's CTV's Heather Wright.
The legislation is the first of its kind in the world. Children in Australia under the age of 16 can no longer legally have accounts on social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. It's a law Amanda Ebinger wants to see passed here in Canada.
She was getting phone calls. She was getting harassed.
When Ebinger's daughter was 11, someone began posting rumors about her online. The attacks became so vicious, she started to self-harm and even considered taking her own life.
We took her to the hospital and she stayed there for the weekend. And then after that, I realized, okay, we can't be here anymore.
The family moved out of town to escape the harassment. Australia's law aims to prevent that type of online bullying and also shield young people from apps that have been shown to cause increased rates of depression, anxiety, and loneliness. The ban puts the onus on the tech companies to enforce age restrictions and remove accounts of those under the age of 16, or face fines of up to 49.5 million Australian dollars. Critics say the law is an infringement and will be tough to enforce. There are also concerns about kids losing a communication tool or being pushed into the darker parts of the internet. Proponents, though, say it's an important first step.
Generally, whenever you have one of these large policy changes, it's going to help some people and harm some people. And so I think Australia is making the bet that overall on the longer term, that this will be more helpful than harmful.
Australian officials acknowledge the implementation of this new law will not be perfect and kids will likely exploit any loopholes. But countries and some provinces here in Canada that are exploring their own social media bans, watching closely now at how things unfold in Australia. Omar.
All right, Heather, thank you. Health Canada has signed off on a promising postpartum drug to help struggling new moms, but the relief comes at a cost. Here's CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin.
For some new moms, delivering little bundles of joy actually comes with a debilitating condition.
Now, Health Canada has approved zuranolone, sold under the name Zurzuvae, for treatment of moderate to severe postpartum depression.
It's exciting that there be novel therapeutics.
1 in 5 women experiences symptoms, including at times severe anxiety, inability to bond with the baby. Amanda DeLuca struggled in the months after her now 10-year-old daughter was born.
That's natural for you to be able to cook and clean the house. I just was so depleted. I wasn't able to do it. And the doctors just said I was a new mom and dismissed it.
That inspired her to start programs for new moms called Evolving with Mandy.
Mindset work and definitely some movement and health. So the whole connection will help you get through it, whether you decide the medication is right for you or not.
Psychiatrists do say lifestyle changes and other already available treatment options can be effective.
Psychotherapy can have a very positive and quite rapid impact when it's well designed and when it's well targeted.
Doctors say in some cases, zuranolone could yield faster results.
The difference is night and day. Like, I could cry happy tears.
Zurzuvae has been available in the U.S. since 2023. It hasn't proven to be a miracle pill for all, and there are side effects including drowsiness, headaches. But for women like Stevie Robertson in Illinois, it has brought back some of the joys of motherhood.
The dread I would feel, like when I woke up to a baby crying, I didn't feel that dread anymore.
But the price is high. It costs $16,000 U.S. for a 15-day course of treatment south of the border. We'll have to see what happens here. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Coming up.
Very unexpected, but possibly very promising.
Why a U.S. conservative commentator is offering help to a Saskatchewan woman who was previously considering MAID. The leader of the Quebec Liberals says his party plans to cooperate with a criminal investigation launched by the province's anti-corruption squad.
We want to get to the bottom of this. We want to see if anyone did anything wrong. If it's the case, they'll pay the price.
Last week, Rodriguez removed Sona Lacoyan-Olivier from the Liberal caucus over an ethics investigation into whether she used state resources to sway the party's Liberal leadership race. She has denied any wrongdoing. After years of waiting for a medical procedure, a Saskatchewan woman approved for assisted dying is getting unexpected support from a U.S. conservative commentator. Here's CTV's Wayne Mantika on how it's bringing new attention to her fight for care.
Jolene Van Alstine is currently at the Regina General Hospital with a rare form of parathyroid disease. She has been in pain for years and has been unable to obtain necessary surgery. She was recently approved for medical assistance in dying to end her suffering. Now U.S. political commentator Glenn Beck has been in contact and is trying to arrange medical care in the United States.
Very unexpected, but possibly very promising too. So that's good news for Jolene and I.
Beck has posted updates to X on Van Alstine's plight. It has reached over 1 million readers. He offered a scathing assessment of Canadian Medicare, saying, "This is the reality of compassionate, progressive health care. Canada must end this insanity, and Americans can never let it spread here." Beck says he has also approached President Trump's State Department to expedite her entry into the U.S. The family is hopeful.
The lady that I've been talking to has been very optimistic and said that it's a very good news situation, or a conversation that we'll have a little bit later. So hopefully it will.
The family recently met with Saskatchewan's health minister and says it was offered an out-of-province referral. That option is also being explored. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Writer Sophie Kinsella, whose influential series of comedic books read by millions, Confessions of a Shopaholic, has died. Kinsella, who also wrote under her real name Madeline Wickham, announced last year that she had been diagnosed with brain cancer. The British author published 10 Shopaholic novels, the first 25 years ago. Her books have sold more than 45 million copies worldwide and were adapted into the 2009 hit movie starring Isla Fisher.
Declined.
Can you try again?
Really declined.
After her diagnosis, Kinsella wrote, "What does it feel like?" about a woman with 5 children who has brain cancer. Her family posted that she died peacefully with her final days filled with her true loves: family, music, warmth, and Christmas and joy. Sophie Kinsella was 55 years old. Still ahead on thin ice, why concerns over player safety could threaten the NHL's Olympic return. With less than 2 months to go until the Winter Olympics, the hockey arena in Milan isn't ready yet, prompting concerns about player safety from the NHL.
And the fact that the building at this point still isn't completed is, as I said, and I won't use any other adjectives, is disappointing.
It's expected to be completed in January, and the size of the ice surface will also be slightly shorter than NHL specifications. NHL players are expected to return to the games after a decade-long absence, but if the ice isn't safe, the league says they won't be going. And a major historic discovery in England, archaeologists say they have proof that humans built and controlled fires 350,000 years earlier than previously thought. Shattered flint axes and 2 pieces of stone were found at a site, and most likely used by Neanderthals. Still ahead, how one Canadian city is using AI to drive innovation. AI is becoming part of daily life, and experts say Canadian municipalities are gearing up for a major tech shift. Here's CTV's Alison Bamford on how cities are already putting AI to work.
Saskatoon Transit is working to get these buses back on the road. Small repairs now to avoid major failures later.
Instead of running a bus until which point in time a check engine light or a stop engine light would appear, we're now able to get ahead of that.
Helping them get ahead is AI.
Here's a fault code.
They successfully piloted the software in 2023. Today it analyzes real-time data from bus sensors and catches maintenance issues early.
Left unchecked, that bus would have been dead on the road.
The information is tracked constantly, cutting costs on parts and saving hours of unscheduled maintenance.
This becomes one more tool in the toolbox in helping us.
23% of Canadian municipalities use AI. Another 31% are actively evaluating how to incorporate it.
We're seeing a lot of municipalities kind of in that learning or experimenting phase. They're still trying to understand in what capacity they can use AI.
ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot are common starting points for municipalities, but many have advanced using it for predictive maintenance, chatbots, and understanding traffic flow.
There is a bit of a fear that if they do venture into the AI world, that they are going to do something that will end up upsetting the citizens or putting them at risk.
Privacy, data protection, and cost are concerns holding back some municipalities, but this expert says don't be afraid.
Just do it in a planned way that allows for management of the risks.
And taking those risks could pay off down the road. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
And that's a snapshot of this Wednesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night and see you tomorrow.